because when I think about, AREMA in general, it says American. And so from American, you'd think it's all of North America. And, if we needed to think of it even further, we've got South America as well. So there's lots of opportunity ahead. And I think, that initiative that I've been pushing for is starting to really take hold.
You may know the American Railway Engineering and Maintenance of Way Association, or AREMA, as the, quote, keepers of the manuals. You may know them as the, quote, people behind the largest annual railroad conference in North America. Heck, you may not know about AREMA at all. This podcast is designed, no pun intended, to change your view of who AREMA is and how AREMA has changed the trajectory of many railway careers over its 100-plus year history. Welcome to Platform Chats with your host, Walt Bleser, where he takes a moment to discuss the impacts AREMA has had on the very people who are proud to be called members. Are you ready to roll with AREMA?
Underbridge Structures is a proud supporter of AREMA and Platform Chats, specializing in innovative and practical solutions for railway and transportation infrastructure. Underbridge Structures brings clarity and creativity to complex structural challenges. Learn more at underbridgestructures.com.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Platform Chats. I am your host, Walt Bleser. It has been a minute since I have recorded one of these. I do fully apologize for that. The cadence on Platform Chats, unfortunately, is going to start dropping from 12 a year to potentially 6 a year as, well, folks, my day job is getting to a point where I don't have the time perhaps I used to have to record as many podcasts. So in the effort of trying to make sure that the content that we put out is top-notch and we have podcasts that make you see a new one pop up on your phone and go, yeah, I want to hear what that is. We're going to do our absolute best to potentially do just not quite as many episodes per year, but every single one of them we're going to be awesome. Like today's, not going to lie. This is going to be a good one, an easy one. Both of my guests have already been on the podcast. This is what has become, I would like to call an annual tradition. The Passing of the Torch podcast is what I so appropriately named it, in the sense that we have the current AREMA president on the line on the show, and we have the incoming AREMA president on the show. So it gives them an opportunity to kind of talk about a year in review, if you will, as well as a year look ahead for the new president, and to touch on, the big upcoming conference we have in Kansas City in September, which I'm excited about as well, given that I happen to grow up there as well. And it's kind of cool that it's coming to KC and for the first time in my railroad career. Potentially it's been there when it was AREA. I don't know. So without further ado, let's just get right to this one. You guys all know Jerry Specht. If you've listened to this podcast for any moments of time, he has represented CS&IT Group in the past. He's helped me out with the creation of, I believe it's Committee 35. And now he is currently with CPKC and your current AREMA president. So, Jerry, let's start with an intro from you before we get to Mr. David Clark from CSX. I'm going to put him in the on deck circle, if you will, and he can wait his turn to do an intro. Jerry, I'll shut up. Why don't you tell everybody kind of who you are and how in the world you became the AREMA president, my friend?
Well, thank you, Walt, for having me on the show. I appreciate the opportunity to get to share some experiences. Again, my name is Jerry Specht. I'm with CPKC. I'm Assistant General Manager for S&C Operations. I've got signal and communications operations south of Kansas City, including all the way to and all of Mexico. And I also go east of Kansas City. So all train control, communications, all of that stuff involved with that, basically ensuring that we maintain and keep our signal system safe. I have been with the railroad industry in general for about 25 years. I started at BNSF back in 1999, and actually even before that, if you counted my internship and time working on the track department. And yes, at one point in time, I was a track laborer and worked a Group 5 machine operator, anchor machine, and a welder, grinder, all that fun stuff, which was kind of the what I'd say the birthplace of my railroad career. Looking for a summer job and decided to pick up the rail industry as a summer job for making some money for college. Eventually got into interning with BNSF and then started with their management training program. Was there for 22 years. Made a career change, shifted over to Wabtec for a little bit, and now with CPKC since 2023.
And from an AREMA perspective, you have held, well, I guess, what committee did you join
So
when you
I
started?
Yeah, so I was on committee 36, 37, and then, so 36, of course, being crossings, grade crossing warning systems, 37 being signal systems, and then this wonderful thing called PTC, Positive Train Control, came along, and that gave birth to Committee 39, which I was a part of as well. After becoming a board of directors director, I did that for quite a while, and then also stepped into the role of functional group vice president. And due to unfortunate circumstances, we had to kind of change the bylaws to some extent to have me do a second term of the functional group vice president for CS and IT side. And, of course, most recently, after coming back to the railroad at CPKC, decided to move into, or was asked to more so, moving into the senior VP role that Dave currently has, and then moving into the president position that I'm currently on.
Wow. So, I mean, just again, quick question. So, you've been involved with AREMA for probably over 20 years. Does that sound right?
That's correct.
And you've held leadership roles. It sounds like, if I had to add all that up, I mean, well over 12 years, I'm guessing.
Yes, that
Okay.
is correct.
So, long road, a long road to get to that role, and much appreciated. So I'll just say, on behalf of the organization, we appreciate all your volunteer hours and time that you've put into committee leadership, and frankly, just leadership to the organization, and now your presidency. We'll get into a little bit more later with you, with your reflections on your year. But let's shift gears here to Mr. Clark, who actually just showed off his 30 years of service trophy from CSX, which is, I got to say, pretty cool when you look at the current state of affairs, where a lot of people have had way more than one job or two jobs or three jobs. They've had multiple by the time they're my age or so. So very commendable, Mr. Clark. Why don't you give everybody a little introduction to yourself, if you don't mind?
All right, well, thanks for having me on. So, yeah, make no mistake, it's one company, but it's been a multitude of jobs. Started in 30 years ago as a assistant train master at Cincinnati, working in the yard. Did a bunch of different things for about a year, learning the train operations, and went on to be construction engineer and project manager on some big projects way back when CSX was sharing Conrail with the Norfolk Southern. Worked on some things there. Ended up down in our headquarters, working on a lot more things. Had a tour through our system production operations, through the standards department. Ended up back in Chicago in 2009, managing our Create program up there. And then 2012, back in the Cincinnati covering construction, which I currently do at CSX. AREMA for me, though, started back in college. I entered a paper contest back when it was AREA, and happened to win a section of it. And they wrote me a little check, which was nice to help pay for tuition or food or pizzas or whatever it was that I used that money on way back then. Ended up getting active in AREMA, though, when I was in standards, and joined Committee 5 on track and Committee 4 on rail. Worked my way up as the chairperson of Subcommittee 5, and that um, subcommittee is responsible for the portfolio. And way back then, we argued over 64ths of an inch and some things on frog castings and the way rails are milled and things like that. So infinite details on something that doesn't always have to be that
Oh
infinite.
boy.
Yeah, it was fun, but it ended up later becoming chairman of Committee 5, and then through the board of directors, and now here I sit.
I'm assuming, were you secretary, vice chair, chair of
Oh yeah,
5?
yeah. I was secretary, vice chair, and then chairman through that whole 9-year cycle there, and then on the board. I had 2 different stints on the board, and then vice president. Now senior vice president.
Jerry, sounds like this might be a great time for you to jump in here and chat a little bit about, well, frankly, the year that you've had. Was it everything you thought it was going to be as the president? What do you think you got accomplished? What's left to accomplish? This is really your. I'm going to hand you the mic and let you run.
Well, I will say I kind of chuckle because when I talked to Beth Caruso, our executive director, she said, "Oh, it's usually not too much time involved," and I'll tell you, it's been a whirlwind of a year. Just getting to whether it's the Railway Tie Association, getting to NRC, there's been a lot of great experiences that I've enjoyed. Um, just most recently here went to Reese and attended that up in Minneapolis. But nonetheless, I've really enjoyed it. I think this has been a fabulous experience. I've had a lot of fun, got to meet new people, got to see parts of AREMA that I've never been exposed to. I always say us CS and IT folks, we kind of stay in our own little area, and very tight-knit group of people, very passionate. And this gave me the opportunity, I guess, to expand my horizons and understanding, whether it's engineering services, whether it's passenger transit, structures, trackside. It's been a great experience for me overall.
Cool. And I know that you. I remember talking to you. I think last summer when we were doing the passing of the torch. I think you mentioned a strong desire to translate some of our manual to Spanish, given your current role at CPKC. Do you feel like that we have made progress toward that? I feel like we have. I heard something at the board meeting about that.
Yeah, so there is some select publications that are going to be translated, or they're in the process of final translation, and those will be coming out here shortly. We had a meeting yesterday. We've been trying to determine first and foremost a liaison for Mexico with the membership committee. And so we had a conversation with 2 folks, one that's in Houston and works entirely in Mexico, and then another person that's in Monterey. And I'm not going to share their names yet because they'll be announced at a later time. But just understanding the world that is ahead of us in Mexico, it's kind of, I hate to use the word wild wild west, but there's a lot of opportunity for us to get into Mexico and share our our knowledge and our recommended practices. I think they're eager to learn. A very wonderful group of folks down there, railroaders, as I would say, that are thirsty for what we know and how they can apply it down in Mexico. So the biggest part for me was, how do we expect to gain traction in Mexico when none of our manuals, none of our recommended practices, anything is translated into Spanish? So now we're moving down that path. And as that happens, we're going to start getting involved with some of the Mexico railroad organizations, as in like the AAR equivalent, which I believe is the AMF, is the name of the organization for Mexico, equivalent to the AAR, and basically just try to start there and get the young folks that are wanting to get into the railroad industry, get them acquainted, have some same type of things as meet the next generation, have some employee engagement opportunities down there. But I do believe in Monterey they have a social, and so we're going to try and get involved with that so we can expand AREMA's footprint in Mexico. Because when I think about AREMA in general, it says American, and so from American, you'd think it's all of North America. And if we needed to think of it even further, we've got South America as well. So there's lots of opportunity ahead, and I think that initiative that I've been pushing for is starting to really take hold.
That's actually really cool. I mean, it's tough, right? You guys that take these positions as president, it's one calendar year, and as I think many of us know, when we're 8 years old, 1 year is a long time. But as we know now in our careers and where we are in life, a year feels like it just flies by. You wake up I just woke up this morning thinking, wow, we're already doing the passing of the torch. July is here, and we are talking about the fall conference, and I don't know, where does the time go, right? So to come in and have almost just over one calendar year to try to leave your fingerprints on this organization is a very, very difficult thing to do. And I do think it's kind of unique and cool that, given your role with CPKC and working south of the border, to combine that into your presidency, to leave a legacy, just even if it is something as may seem as small as translating the manuals. I think someone had to do it. Someone had to get that ball going down the hill. So good on you for doing that. Mr. Clark, have you had any time or chance to even think about what you might try to be, what might be your legacy in your 1 year at AREMA?
Well, I think right now the big thing will be collaboration. For AREMA. We're going to build a little bit more on what Jerry's talking about with our North American partners. I'm heading over to Australia in the middle of August to have a keynote speech at the Railway Technical Society of Australia, which is the AREMA's equivalent over there. That's a little bit of a precursor to the rail tour that's supposed to happen in 2027. We're offering to AREMA members to go over sometime next summer. Maybe that's Australia's winter, which is mighty mild compared to what we see over here by my research. But nonetheless, we are trying to build our collaborative effort, on the other side of the world as well. So that is going to be, I think, the big push that I'm going to have, is build on what Jerry's doing and try to increase our worldwide footprint as possible.
Oh, cool. All right. So we're gonna go all the way to Australia. That's neat. You're gonna go there in August. Yeah, like you said, I think it's winter there in August. And I think there's been not opportunity. I think we've been to Australia before, AREMA, correct?
A few years back,
I don't
yes. Know. Yeah, a while back.
Okay. Yeah, I knew there's been some efforts to. Okay. Cool. All right. I love it. I think that this international push is a really cool thing, and it's a really unique thing for both of you. And I think collaboration with everything going on in the world and everything going on with AREMA right now is a great word. And speaking of which, we've got KC coming up. And is this the first time that the sitting president is going to be presiding over the conference in his hometown, Jerry?
That is correct. Yes, I'm excited. It's kind of a unique opportunity. You think about, the president of AREMA living in the same town as the conference. So it is a first, confirmed with Beth Caruso. And I'm excited as I think about, of course, I'm going to throw this out there, as I think it's the home of barbecue, which there'll probably be a bunch of people that object to that. But nonetheless, I think the opportunities and the sightseeing, there's so many different cool things to do here. If you get a chance, World War I Museum to Union Station, a lot of rich history of railroading here in Kansas City. You think about all of the railroads pretty much touch right here in Kansas City. And it might be, Dave, maybe you have to correct me if I'm wrong, but even CSX, I think, comes into Kansas City or maybe outside of Kansas City. But definitely Union Pacific, BNSF. Okay, so St. Louis is the closest, but so definitely Norfolk Southern, BNSF, CPKC, and I mentioned Union Pacific already, but definitely a railroad city that's very rich in history of railroading.
Yeah, and the Union Station is beautiful. And I believe, are we having our opening session or our welcome session there? Is that correct?
It is, yes. Yep.
Okay. And so if you're staying downtown, I also believe that they have built a streetcar in Kansas City that runs, is it Main Street? Is that correct?
It runs right through the Power and Light District, straight all the way down to Union Station. So it's definitely, if I remember right, it's still free for folks to just jump on and go. And the thing that you have to remember for those that are late nighters, there is a time when it shuts down, so you might have to do something on the way back.
Got it. Well, I think we all know nothing good happens after 9:30 p.m. At least that's what I tell myself at this stage of life. So I think a lot of folks will be staying downtown because the convention center's down there. There's a lot of hotels down there. I think the new, well, I say new, it's been a few years now. The new convention hotel that is down there. All of that, people can walk from there, grab the streetcar. You would encourage that, I assume, to get to both Union Station or just do a little sightseeing while you're in KC.
And
Cool.
there's absolutely, for all ages, I'd say there's great places to go see for young folks. I'll say Up Down Arcade Bar is actually a really fun place. 80s for even us older folks that want to go to that as well. So
cool. And Dave, you are responsible for the content at the conference in your role as Senior Vice President of AREMA. And I know I've had the pleasure of working with you for the past year as a Vice President of the Structures Functional Group, putting together our all the different presentations for both Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. I'm assuming you're pretty excited about what folks are going to see?
Yeah, I think that we've got a good variety of things. You'll have some technical presentations. You'll have a lot of things that's got pretty pictures and will be interesting. So I think we'll please everybody.
Awesome. Well, unfortunately, yeah, I'm hoping that I can fix some of this in the editing. We're losing the connection with Dave here, Jerry. I'm assuming you're hearing that as well. So maybe you can help me out here and talk a little bit about the content that we've got coming to the show. Is there anything you're excited about seeing? And I know, let me put this in a different way, Jerry. What is the thing you're most excited to see at the AREMA conference, and why is it my keynote session?
Well, of course, a little bit biased there and trying to be self-serving, but nonetheless, honestly, I've always enjoyed just the new ideas. I love the aspect of folks sharing what they're doing and being able to learn from, I'll call it mistakes that others make, as long as they're willing to share those mistakes. But ultimately, to me, the biggest thing that I enjoy most out of going to the AREMA conference is the people. It's definitely the people like yourself, Dave. I mean, there's a ton of experience that comes to visit and attend the conferences, and I'll tell you, a lot of these conversations that happen during between sessions and just catching up, seeing how they're doing, but also sharing, hey, I got this problem. Have you ever encountered this? What would you do about it? There's all this information sharing and getting to network with everybody. I think, to me, that and it deals a lot in line with what Dave's saying, is the collaborative piece of AREMA. And to me, that is, every year look forward to this opportunity to collaborate with everyone and get to understand what they've been up against, share what I've been up against, and try and figure out best opportunities going forward with it.
Cool. Any closing remarks, Mr. Clark?
Well, let's see. Jerry's right. When we go to the conference, we go to committee meetings, we've got some of the world's foremost experts in heavy haul railways. We've got some awesome metallurgists that I've met and worked with, and people that understand signaling systems like Jerry and others. It's just, where else in the world can you meet with people like that?
Yep, I agree. And they're all in one spot. You know what? I got to say, that might be the best way to close this thing out, guys. I like that line. And I look forward to seeing both of you in KC. I want to, again, thank you, Jerry, for your year as president of AREMA. And I'm looking forward to seeing what Dave's going to do. Sadly, I am going to roll off. This is my lame duck session. So I am out at the conference, but I will try to stick around and keep up with you guys over the next couple of years. So thank you both, and we'll see you in KC.
Thanks, Walt. I appreciate it.
Yep. We'll see you there, Walt. Thank you.
Thank you for rolling with AREMA on today's episode of Platform Chats. For further information about AREMA, please visit arema.org or contact us at info@arema.org.